How did you get involved with the making of Voyage of Time?
Um, my past is in documentaries. I've done big natural history documentaries like Earth and Deep Blue. So I think about 5 years ago, one of the producers of Terrence Malick approached me and asked whether I would be interested in joining the production. Some of the cameramen we used for Voyage of Time have also been cameramen on the previous productions I've done. So they talked to Terrence Malick about what I do, and that's how I was approached.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you tell us something about the genesis of the film?
Phew. I think Voyage of Time is something Terrence Malick has been thinking of even longer than 40 years. 40 years ago, he started filming the first shots of Voyage of Time in Australia at the Great Barrier Reef. But if you talk to his wife, Eki, she will tell you, oh, Terry has been thinking of this ever since I know him, and they know each other since they're 13 years old. So I think if you look at the work of Terry, he was always occupied with nature, with the relation of nature and humans, human in nature. So he kind of covered that in all his previous films, which were scripted dramas, obviously. And now Voyage of Time is the culmination of this evolution of this effort. So I guess that's the genesis.
Amazing.
And which kind of differences there are between the IMAX version and this one that has been screened in your Venice last night?
I believe we all go to cinema to make an emotional journey. I don't think anyone goes to cinema to learn something. You know, if you want to learn something, most likely you will watch a BBC documentary or something on your television, but not necessarily in cinema. We want to travel with our hearts, our minds, our fantasy, and documentaries have a challenge in doing that because they rely on conveying information. So in a way, having the two versions freed Terrence Malick to do his poetic journey on the 90-minute. And IMAX documentaries are different because the audience is different. There you do have people who go into cinema to learn something, to be educated. In the IMAX version, we explain more things. It's much more about, you know, the facts, the numbers, despite the fact it's still a Terrence Malick film, so he will not give you a BBC sort of narration. But that's the main difference of the two. And also I think aesthetically, creatively, the IMAX format is a very different format, where in conventional cinema, the editing, the camera will guide your attention to where the filmmaker wants to have your attention. IMAX films tend to be a lot slower because the screen is bigger and it allows the audience to discover things on their own. So that's also a creative difference between the two.
Can you describe the creative process of the visual aspects of the film?
With these sort of films where you deal with nature, you deal with animals as well, the first thing you need to have is patience. It's patience. You need to spend a long time. Now, obviously, Voyage of Time doesn't deal only with the present, doesn't deal with the period where we had cameras. It also deals with the past. A lot of it is with the past. So we had to come up with a way of how to visualize this. Despite the fact that Voyage is a very poetic film, every single frame is science. Every single second you see in the film has been checked with scientists, with experts. So Terry wanted to do this fantastic journey, but to do it on the foundation of science, of what we know. So he has been involved from the very beginning with people like Andrew Knoll, who is a cosmologist at Harvard University. We have about 40 or 50 scientific consultants. He has been in constant exchange with them, asking them, you know, how was it 5 million years ago? You know, how was planet Earth? How can we imagine this? And then he had to come up. Sometimes, you know, we use images from Hubble telescope, from NASA, from all the space agencies, where we can look into the past. When we look into the stars, we look into the past. But some of the things, you know, we wanted to recreate, to use science and to check with scientists, is that the way you imagine this happened? And they gave us the feedback, they gave us the foundation to do this in the right way. And it involved mechanical effects, chemicals, liquids, fire, dust, smoke, but it also involved a lot of computer effects. And the combination of the two, I think, is what is also a very fascinating facet of Voyage of Time.
So, and I was like working with Terrence Malick.
It's a very unique experience to work with Terry. I've been a producer for over 25 years now. This was the most fascinating film I have ever been involved, and the most challenging one. Terry is a true artist. He has his vision, but at the same time he surrounds himself with a lot of young people. He will listen to other people. He will still have his vision, but you can discuss things with him, you can argue with him, but you better be prepared. Don't tell him, I don't like this, can you change it? He will ask you, why don't you like this? Because he has a reason why he put it there. And unless you're really prepared to have this conversation with him, don't ask him. There's times he wants to discuss things with you. There's times where you're not allowed to see things. I lived this project as much, not as long as he did, but still. And of course, you are, as the producer, you are interested in to see what is happening and everything, but there's times he locks you out. He's like, no, I'm not prepared now to show you anything. Come back in a month or so. So it's a very interesting process with him.
Okay.
How long did it take to shoot Voyage of Time?
The first cinematography on Voyage of Time started in the mid-70s, where Terrence asked a few of his friends who were involved in nature documentaries to do some cinematography at the Great Barrier Reef, some underwater cinematography. And I think all the way up until now, he continued to collect images, to collect colors, to collect, things. And to be honest, he's such a curious person and he's such a knowledgeable person. He could continue now doing Voyage of Time if you don't stop him. He has all this, my friend called me, he has shot underwater volcanoes in Hawaii. Can we put that in? Like, no, Terry, we are done. We can't continue anymore. And that's how he is as a person.
So, last night's screening was acclaimed and praised. Are there any plans for an international distribution of the film?
Yes, of course. We make movies for people to see the movies. So the film has been pre-sold in quite a few territories. I don't know the details. I'm not involved in the sales, but I know Japan will release the film around Christmas. Australia, France, these are the dates I know. Germany. Italy, I'm sure we will have a release, but I can't tell you when. Yes. With the two versions, we have an interesting experiment in the sense that in North America, the IMAX version will come out first. In the rest of the world, we will see the 90-minute, the one that was seen yesterday, which is today premiering here at the competition. And that has to do with the way the business is internationally. Documentaries, cinema documentaries, work much better outside America than within America. All the big nature documentaries like Peuple Migrateur, Winged Migration, the one I have produced, Earth, they all worked outside of America first and then came into America. IMAX documentaries go the other way around. They're much stronger in America and then they go into the rest of the world. So that's why with the two versions we decided to have two very different release patterns.
And there are rumors about Ennio Morricone involved in the making of the soundtrack, but we didn't get any information about it. So you can tell us something more?
Yes. Ennio and Terry enjoy a very old and good relationship. They're friends. Yeah. And Terry always thought about using existing music for Voyage. At some point there have been discussions, but I think, that Terry speaks to his friends about his vision, his idea. He trusts some people. So I'm sure the two talked about it, but as far as I remember, there was never a concrete situation where Ennio was supposed to do the score.
Thank you very much.
Grazie mille.